YouTube friends, Kalos Sarisate, and welcome to Mom's Greek Kitchen, the channel where I share my mom's Greek recipes. Today we're doing another Christmas cookie, Kourabiedes, another one of those long names, Kourabiedes. These are a Greek version of a shortbread. They normally have toasted almonds in it, and they are usually flavored with a scented water or an alcohol. Rose water or rodostamo or anthonero, flower water or orange blossom water are traditional flavors, as well as cognac, which is Greek brandy, or what we have always used in our family, anise oil, the same flavor as ouzo or sambuca or black jelly beans. It's one of the two recipes Mom uses that oil in. The other one is called paximadia, which are a Greek biscuit. But we're going to make Kourabiethes today. So they're a nice short cookie. They're very tender and crumbly, and they are encased in icing sugar. So let's get cooking. Alright, our first step is to toast our almonds. So I've got 3/4 cups of slivered almonds. And I'm going to put them into a frying pan, dry frying pan. And over medium-high heat, you're just going to keep stirring until they darken nicely and are toasted and have a lovely taste. And then we take them out of the frying pan and put them onto a plate or something so that they can cool and not burn. That's going to take a few minutes, so I will be back when they are ready to be taken off the heat. Alright, we're getting there. Just a few more seconds, I think. When it gets to this point, it goes pretty quickly, so you don't want to walk away because you will have black almonds, and that's not good. So I'm going to say about 5 more seconds, and I think I'm going to call that done. So they've got a nice color to them. I can definitely smell them, and I'm just going to dump them into a plate so they will cool down and not burn on us. And those we're going to chop roughly before we put them into our cookies. So I will be back with the next step. Alright, we're about to start making our cookie batter. I have a pound of room temperature butter in our mixer, and I'm just going to turn it on and let it work for a few minutes. Now that it's sort of broken up, I'm going to add 2 egg yolks and half a cup of icing sugar, and I'm going to turn the mixer back on. And I'm going to let it go for 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, until it's very light and fluffy, and I will be back to show you what that looks like. Okay, we're back. Our butter, egg yolks, and icing sugar have been beat together until they're nice and light and fluffy. We're now ready to start adding our flour and our flavoring. If you are using anything other than the anise oil, you would be adding it after the cookies are baked. It's sprayed on top. So your rose water or neroli or orange blossom water or cognac would be put in a spray bottle and sprayed on as soon as the cookies come out of the oven. In the old days, they would take a swig and basically spit it onto the cookies, but we don't do that anymore. But if you're using the anise oil, and it needs to be oil, extract isn't strong enough and ouzo isn't strong enough, you can buy candy flavoring oils at like Bulk Barn or other places of that sort who have candy making supplies, or some natural food stores will carry anise oil or anise seed oil. They're the same thing, but you want the oil and you want food grade oil. So I'm going to add my oil. So I've got 2 of these little bottles. There you go. So anise oil, Smells just like ouzo. And oop, come on. And the second bottle. And I'm going to add about half of our flour to start. And you're going to put your mixer on low because you don't want to make a mess. So as you can see, it's going to be a very short cookie, a very delicate and melt in your mouth cookie. The only real liquid in here is the anise oil, but that's an oil, and the egg yolks, which again have a fat in them. There is no actual liquid to make gluten. So when these are done, they're very delicate. Okay, I'm gonna now put in our almonds that I have roughly chopped. You don't want them fine. You do want a little bit of bite. They look like this. And I'm gonna add enough flour to make a dough that's like a plasticine. It will be malleable, but it will not stick to your fingers at all. You don't want a dry dough though, you want a dough that is nicely flexible and the smell of the almonds and the smell of the anise oil is wonderful. Let's see how our dough is doing here. Now that's still too soft. It's still sticky. I need to add a bit more flour. It might take a bit more than the 3 cups that I have pulled out. Another half a cup. Alright, let's see how we're doing here. So as you can see, the dough doesn't stick to my hands. It's malleable. You're going to be making little balls out of it and flattening them and then doing a dimple in the top, because they will puff up slightly, and when the dimple is puffed up you'll get a nice smooth top to your cookie. Actually it's a little tiny bit sticky, so I'm going to add so that's 4 cups altogether, and I think that will be just perfect. Mom, like I said, never measured, so this is a bit of tactile testing. Yeah, that's perfect. Alright, so I will get the dough out of the bowl and I will be back when we start shaping them. Okay, we're back and we're ready to shape our Kourabiedes, our anise flavored shortbread. The oven is set to 350, one of the few recipes where Mom didn't use the 375. This and baklava, I think, were the only 2 that she did use 375 on. So it's at 350. I am using my 1.5 tablespoon cookie scoop, so they're all the same size. I'm just going to grab a ball of dough. I'm going to form it into a nice disc. I'm going to put it on my cookie sheet, and I'm just basically going to do like a half a thumbprint, like not all the way deep. You just want a little bit of a indentation, because as it bakes, that will come sort of level and a little higher. So it's a nice rounded shape. They don't spread very much at all, so maybe about half an inch in between. And I'm gonna shape all my cookies, and I will put them in the oven and bake them until they are just lightly golden brown underneath and the edges are just starting to darken slightly, so they don't get a lot of color on them. Alright, so I'm just going to keep doing that until my cookie dough is done, and I will be back for the next step. See you soon! Alright, we are ready to prepare the next step, and while the cookies are in the oven, we are going to lay out wax paper or parchment paper, or if you don't really care about the cleanup, just on your counter. And we are going to layer a nice decent coat of icing sugar onto the parchment paper. And our cookies, as they come out of the oven, will be placed on their bottoms in a nice even row onto the icing sugar. And then we will sprinkle icing sugar over the top of them. While the cookies are hot, the icing sugar will melt to them and give it a coating. This is where the cookies actually get their sweetness. There is only half a cup of icing sugar in the entire batch of cookie dough, so it's very, very, very mildly sweet. But most of the sweetness comes from the icing sugar. So here we go. So I've got myself a strainer, a sieve, whatever you want to use. A fine one is better than a coarse one because you want to get a nice smooth layer and no lumps. And you're basically just going to tap. You can use a flour sifter, like the manual kind that you crank the handle on, but I like this. It works very well. So you're going to want a full coverage of icing sugar. You do not want to see the parchment paper because you want that icing sugar to make that bottom layer on your cookie. I'm going to add a little more. That was about maybe half a cup, 3/4 of a cup, and I'm going to add another, I don't know, let's see. I think we have pretty decent coverage here. I probably have about a 1/4 cup in here, so I probably use maybe a full cup underneath the cookies. All right, so we have our layer of icing sugar waiting for our cookies to come out of the oven, and I will be back to show you what we do next. All right, our first batch of cookies is out of the oven. I'm going to try and show you what it looks like. So that's the top of the cookie, and I'm going to sear myself. Hot, yes. And that's the bottom. So as you can see, just a pale gold. They are very hot, and that's why we want to take them immediately from the cookie sheet and put them right onto the icing sugar so that the sugar will melt right into the bottom of the cookie and give us that sweetness that we are lacking in the actual batter. And as soon as I have them all out, I will sprinkle the top heavily with more icing sugar. And then when they're cool, they're going to get stored in layers with icing sugar sprinkled between them. So they basically are buried in icing sugar. Which brings me to the point of a warning. Warning, warning! When you eat a Kourabiet, do not inhale as you're taking the bite. Because you're going to invariably get a grain or a little dust of icing sugar go right down your throat and make you cough uncontrollably. So bite it and then you can breathe. But they are a very wonderful cookie, and I'm sure you will enjoy them. So I'll come back when I'm ready to ice the top with icing sugar. Alright, so I have the first batch of cookies out, and I'm now going to dust them with icing sugar. I tend to do the spoon technique with the cookies. Oops, because I have too much icing sugar in my thing. It gets a finer layer without the lumps. I'm not having very good luck with right now, so I'll do it the other way. And you will see that this sugar actually melts and is absorbed by the cookie. Now, the cookies took exactly 25 minutes at exactly 350 degrees, according to my external oven thermometer. I don't use the internal thermometer. And I tested my thermometer to make sure it is accurate. Got too much icing sugar in my strainer. So this batch makes 45 cookies at the 1.5 tablespoon size. Just so you have an idea of what you're getting. Alright. Alright, good coverage, an even coat. We're going to allow them to cool completely, and then, like I said, we're going to strain icing sugar into airtight containers, layer the cookies, put more icing sugar on top until they're basically buried, and then you can stack them that way. You can also put layers of parchment or wax paper in between, so you don't have to put quite as much icing sugar. But basically they were buried with when Mom had them ready for whenever guests came, and you would dig them out of the icing sugar. You can also put them in cupcake cups, and that way you don't need quite as much sugar because they have their own supply in the paper cup. Alright, so I will be back when the second batch is out and show you the process again, just in case. And I'll see you then. Alright, our second batch of cookies is out of the oven. So, again, we're putting them on the icing sugar. They're very hot. And then we're going to sprinkle them with more icing sugar. I can definitely smell the aniseed coming off of these guys. So now would be the point when you would be spraying them with the other flavorings if you're using the rose water or the neroli oil or the brandy, etc. You can also spray them with ouzo at this point, but it will be a much less intense flavor. And we like the anise flavor in these guys. So like I said, they are a short cookie. They're quite sweet after they've been dredged in the icing sugar. Do not inhale when you take a bite. They are great with a cup of tea or a glass of milk or something of that sort. They do need a liquid because they're quite dry, being a short cookie. But they're wonderful. The shape we use is this shape for the most part. Another traditional shape is a crescent, but I find they break very easy. It is a delicate cookie. So for keeping qualities and presentation and that kind of stuff, we usually use the disc shape, but you can shape them into what they call gazelle horns or crescents or something of that sort. Alright, so I hope you enjoy your Kourabiedes, and join me next time when we do another one of Mom's Greek recipes. Have a great day. Take care. Bye bye.